Cool down a bit.
Yeah,
Cool down, yeah. To cool down a bit.
yeah, so to not overheat in the to cool down a bit. So today we'll be discussing on some of these new policies that the government have released for these prime area BTOs, and they will call these PLH models, which is prime location housing. So the first changes is that the minimum occupation period of these PLH BTO flats will be 10 years instead of 5 years.
5 years.
So previously for other BTO flats, the owners will be able to sell the flat after 5 years. For PLH models, the owners will be only able to sell the flat after 10 years. So in the past, if you have a BTO house, right, you will be able to invest in private property after 5 years. For PLH homes, you'll be able to invest in private property only after 10 years. So for any other BTO, they will be able to rent out the whole flat after 5 years. But for PLH housing, the owners will not be able to rent out their whole house, a whole flat, even after 10 years.
Because below to the
Yeah,
owners.
Because I think this PLH housing, which means prime location housing, they are going to be in very good location, very prime, very
Yes.
central, very convenient location, which also means that it's going to be a very good place for rental yield.
Yep.
Now that these owners, they will not be able to rent out the whole flat, they will not be able to enjoy gaining any rental yield from this house.
I actually know quite a few like friends or buyers, right, or sellers. They want to buy a new private condo, but they still want to hold on to their HDBs, you know. But right now, I mean, having 10 years minimum occupancy period is what it is lah.
Yeah, it is
you know,
what
you
it
just got to wait it out.
Yeah.
But it is quite a sad thing that you must let go of your prime location HDB in order for you to buy. But right now, after 10 years of MOP, you cannot rent out the entire unit anymore.
So what do you think about the 10 years MOP period?
It's a bit too sudden, but you know, maybe this move has to be made looking at the current HDB prices and even the resale prices lah. So, but honestly, I think for me, I was expecting about 2 to 3 years. Then it suddenly becomes suddenly becomes a 5 years additional. So
中的 HDB at a
HDB.
prime location, then you basically make a lot of money right now lah. You see, take a look at Duxton at Pinnacle. Right now, you are selling it at 1 million plus. So there's a lot of profit from the HDB, and it's really by luck. I guess this move is also to keep this prime location more affordable. I think they want to reduce the gap between I would say like other HDB with this prime location one, so that people can still buy.
Because I think there are people who stays in this area, parents staying in this area,
Yes.
and they just want to stay near their parents.
Yeah.
But because they are already in this prime location way back in the past, then they are not given the chance to actually stay near the parents because of the location, because of the price, because of the location, and because it's hard to get any BTOs over here. So what the government is trying to do is to keep housing affordable even for the prime area, because these are still public housings.
Yep.
And at the same time, to help people who really need to stay in this place, this area, to be able to own a flat fairly, competing with the rest of the other BTO applicants.
Some people, they buy a HDB, they don't like intend to sell it.
Yeah,
They don't intend to like make money out of it.
that's true.
So, you know, I would say that this is a bit, the price getting higher and higher at this kind of location is getting a bit unfair for such people lah. So, I mean, to me, I feel that this move is by the government is quite, I would say it's quite a good move.
Quite a good move. And I actually think that for 10 years is a good number to change to. Because
at first I feel that it is like
too much,
too
right?
much.
Yeah. But if you think about it, if let's say they change to 7 years, 8 years,
then
just
the
2 or 3 more,
like nothing.
2 or 3 years more, the effect is really like nothing, because people who want to invest in these lottery effect houses, they can afford to wait another 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
But now that it is 10 years, it will really keep those people who are trying to buy this place to invest, to get them to think twice Because if you imagine today you are 35 years old and you want to buy this place, you wait for 5 years to 6 years to build, then the 10 years MOP you will be about 50 years old. By then you could have already invest a lot in elsewhere.
Especially for those couples who wants to like upgrade like want to in the future upgrade, and then this is their stepping stone.
Correct.
Right now it is no longer as attractive.
Yeah, because if you want to upgrade, you wouldn't want to upgrade when you are 50 years old. So I think 10 years is a very decent timeline for these PLH models, and it will really help the prime location housing
Cool down a bit.
Yeah,
To cool down a bit.
yeah, so to not overheat in the to cool down a bit.
Okay, so the next change will be eligibility criteria for purchasing flats in the PLH area. So the first thing will be the citizenship. So in the resale market, right, you just need to have at least one applicant that is either Singaporean or PR, or both PR. You can buy a resale flat in anywhere. Yeah, but now for those in the new area, the prime area, right, must be at least one is Singapore citizen. Then can be a mixture of Singapore citizen and PR, but you cannot both PR.
Yeah.
So that's the new change. Then the next thing is the family nucleus, which I think will affect quite a lot of people, because in the resale flat, those who are age 35 and above, right, they can buy anywhere on their own. But now if you're those 35 years old and above and still single, you want to buy in the PLH area, right, you're not eligible anymore because they want you to form a family nucleus.
Yeah.
So next one will be the income ceiling. So for resale flat, if you buy anywhere other than the PLH area, right, there's no income ceiling. So but currently in the PLH area, right, there's an income ceiling of up to 14,000. So actually 14,000 might seem like not a very big deal, but if you look in the long run, right, from a buyer's point of view, if let's say we did a rough calculation, like let's say both are earning 14,000, technically the loan amount works out to be about maybe 800 over 1,000. So which means the purchasing price will be about 900 to 1.1 million kind of range. So if you're a buyer, that's the range you are looking at to not so-called cross your budget range. But from a seller's point of view, you want to sell, right, you can only sell to those who are earning less than 14,000 in total. Then you still have to adjust your price accordingly if you want to sell it in the right market price, that kind of thing. But ultimately it's still a willing buyer, willing seller kind of market. So if those who earn less than 14K in total, they have enough cash to pay the so-called, by then we don't know 15 years down the road how is the COV market. But if they have the cash to pay, then why not go for it?
Which also means that you will have less demand to these resale flats, and that is not a very good thing for the seller, because less demand means that the price will actually not be as high.
Or maybe in 15 years down the road they might revise the income ceiling because inflation.
That is true also.
So the next point will be the private property ownership. For typical resale, right, you can still buy when you still hold a private property, just that you have to dispose it within 6 months upon the completion of your resale flat. But for those who are looking to buy PLH flats, right, while still holding a private property, you have to at least sell your private property first, then wait for a cooling period of 30 months before you can enter to buy any. So technically it helps slow down the so-called the demand in that area, because especially for those private owners who are looking to downgrade, to sell off their properties, then use the money to buy a HDB and retire from there, they have to wait.
So it's going to bring a lot of inconvenience for this group of buyers who own a private property and wants to buy a prime location HDB just to stay for a longer period of time.
I mean it's as good as buying a new condo already. You rent,
because you got to rent 30 months. It's about the building period of another brand new condo.
Correct.
All these new rulings, they are going to push down the demand of this PLH resale flat. It's going to make some people either they cannot buy PLH resale flat, or they have some problems buying resale HDB flats. or they have more inconvenience when they want to buy a PLH resale flat. The sellers of any PLH flats, right, might meet some problem when they want to sell the flats that easily. And then it also helps them to not be able to jack up the price too much, so that yes, it does keep the house affordable, but it also might mean that these are the flats whereby you might have to stay at a longer period of time, and you might not be able to profit too much from a PLH BTOs.
Ultimately, I think as a seller, you have to price reasonably if you are those who stay in the PLH area.
Yes.
So for PLH, naturally it will command like higher market values, and then these units, right, will be priced with additional subsidies lah. Although there will be subsidies on all these PLH housings,
Yeah.
but the catch is that when you sell, you will have to pay back a certain amount of there will be a clawback lah. You have to pay back a certain amount of your subsidies
Based on the
based
amount
on
that you sell.
yeah, based on the amount. So over here it says that we pay a percentage of unit resale prices back to HDB. So how much percentage we all
don't know yet. They will be announced again.
Pretty much like the current situation, your resale levy is to basically give everyone like a fair chance. It makes earning money from your prime location HDBs less attractive.
What do y'all think about all these policies that is released? I think the government idea is very clear. They want to keep public housing affordable for people.
Yeah.
They want to help people to be able to afford prime location BTO for them to stay in if they need to stay here. Are these policies enough for it to become affordable public housing?
I think there are two sides of these policies lah. So if let's say you are someone who wants to like make money on your BTO purchase, then it's definitely at a slightly disadvantage.
Not like it's very
It's a very
disadvantage.
disadvantage.
Okay, very
Very high
disadvantage.
disadvantage.
Yeah. But if you are on the other side of the other type of buyers who just solely wants to buy a BTO, maybe stay there your entire lives, and then you also want a good location, and you generally want to afford and hope that you can afford such
good location.
HDBs. This might just be a good opportunity, and I feel that the government is trying to like make it fair and make it fair for everyone.
I think all these prime locations will attract a lot of investors. People who are able to afford this location HDB will try to get it no matter what the price is.
Which
So-
in turn check out the price also,
Yeah, so
because they're
if-
willing to pay any
correct.
amount for it.
So if there's no control over this, then you will start to see a lot of people profiting from this prime location HDB, and end up it's going to affect the general property market in Singapore. Because if your public housing in the prime location prices is rising too much, it's going to affect the prime location private housing prices as well. But to ask me whether I will buy a PLH model, I feel that we first have to know our own goals. Like what you say just now, right? There are some people who purely just want to buy a BTO flat and stay there for a very long time, without thinking of investment, without thinking of profiting from the BTO.
Yeah.
They just want a very good location that is near work and a nice place for them to call it a home for a very, very long time. And if you are in this group of people, the measures
Definitely
will benefit you because you will have the fair chance. At the same time, will not be affected by all these measures that will affect the
Because
resale
after all, you are
PLH
not
flat.
selling, you are not
You are not renting it out, you're just going to stay there, and you'll probably renovate it nicely and make this your very nice
Home.
long-term home.
So technically, government is trying to tell you if you want to flip properties,
Yeah,
you need to look at somewhere outside of this area.
correct.
So technically, it might be indirectly helping to push up the sales of those like out of
Out of
this
this
region.
area, yeah.
So might be an overspill effect.
Correct.
Can be a good thing for those, example like ask you to buy Pasir Ris, ask you to buy Woodlands, buy Yishun. Right now, nobody will want because the location itself might not be so ideal compared to staying in the prime area. So for singles who are 35 and above, they can only look at such places.
But we're talking about overspill effects. I think some of these new policies might change what some buyers has been planning or waiting for. For example, when you say singles above 35, They might be waiting for them to reach 35 and then they want to buy a place that is around the prime location,
2-room flexi.
2-room flexi,
Yeah.
or maybe something that is suitable for them, and they don't need a very big size, they just want a very small place to live in.
So right now they can't do
They
that
can't do that,
anymore.
and then if they still want to live in the central area, they want to buy a property that is in the central area, then they will actually turn to look at private property. That can be one of the overspill effect that results, and then for singles, most of the time they will be looking at 1-bedder or 2-bedder,
Yeah.
the smaller units, and hence the smaller units might be able to see some of the increase in demand from this group of people.
To me, I feel like it's up to your own, so-called your goals in life lah. So if you're not looking to do property investment in the future or any near future, you just want to buy a house, just stay there, and then just don't think about anything, right? Maybe this won't affect you that much if you're not single by then. You form a family nucleus, you want to buy there and stay, and just that's it, and end of story. Then it doesn't really affect. But for those who are looking to buy to as a form of investment, to earn some out of it, right? They have to think twice lah.